And we're preparing our minds for our own future. As we looked at the lessons today, they are apocalyptic. They're looking into the future at the end times. And often we don't want to think of that. We had an ending this spring. Pastor Steve is here. We have this transition time for us. And we don't know exactly where our future is going. And that's the hardest part. And I would think for those reading the lessons today, that was the hardest part for them too. It is that unknown. We know that in Christmas, we're going to have a great little baby come and be born to us. But we often forget that that same baby is going to be crucified a few months later on Good Friday. So as we look at the lessons today, I come to you with the thought that we need to look at these readings and apply them to our lives. We each have apocalyptic conditions in our lives at times. Think about it. Some of you have your own private apocalypse that you're walking and living through right now. Perhaps you've been diagnosed with a disease. Maybe you know someone who is sick, who has had a tragic accident. Maybe you're living in a crisis situation. Maybe you don't know who to turn to. Maybe you're just overwhelmed by the demands of life and what the world puts on each of us on a daily basis. So we need these words to help us through our lives today. In Luke, Jesus says, "Stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." During apocalyptic times, you can't lay down in fear. You have to stand up. And what does that mean? It means we need to be firm in our faith. We need to know that baby that's coming is here to save us, because we each need saved. In 1 Corinthians it says, "Therefore, my beloved, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Lord, because you know that in the Lord your labor is not in vain." As you're working to serve others, both in this church and outside the walls, you're doing that. In Ephesians it says, "Take up the whole armor of God, so that you may be able to withstand and have done everything to stand firm." As we prepare this Advent season, there is hope. I know when we talked about hiring an intentional interim, and we talked about what does that mean, we still don't exactly know what that means some days. Sorry. It's fair though. And there's a lot of churning of waters, and some days we don't know which way is the right or the straight path. However, with God we do. And it is our way to prepare. And there are some focuses that we can take from these lessons. We need to pray. We need to pray all the time. I will tell you that's one thing, my prayer life is upped a lot. Pray. Pray for the littlest things. Say thank you, but remember to pray. In 1 Thessalonians it said, "Pray consistently and earnestly, so that we may see God face to face." We need to pray to love everybody. We need to pray to love. This week I was sharing with Pastor Steve, there's a family in my school. I'm having trouble loving those parents right now. But I have to tell you, I pray for them every night. Because I just pray that God will intervene and make it a better situation. We need to pray faithfully. We also need to have humility. That's a little hard at times. Humility doesn't mean that you grovel or cringe. It doesn't mean that you're a doormat to anybody. Humility is knowing yourself. It's having that self-knowledge. In absence of humility, there is weakness. Humility is so pleasing to God, and Jesus taught his disciples that. To be modest, to be quiet in spirit, and humility comes with prayer. Humility is such a hard thing in a selfish world that we live in. It's hard, you've heard this, it's hard to be humble. I'm so good. That's so not true. The entire world around us focuses on self-centeredness. And we need to break out of that mold. And remember that we are not the most important people in the world. The key to being humble is to see others as more significant than yourself. Taking that time to put somebody else first. One of the other focuses is patience. Some of you may smile. We all know that's probably one of my least better qualities. I'm working on it, but patience is so important. Patience is incredibly difficult for a lot of people. So much we want things to happen instantly. We want to know when we ask for something, we get it. Every time, I can only look back on where I've come from. In my time, I've gone from a big television to a small television, to no microwave to a microwave. From a telephone that I had to pull across my parents and Vanessa smiling, under the door so I could have a private conversation, to now I can pick up my cell phone and text somebody within 30 seconds. Our world is ever changing, and we're being taught not to be patient. But Jesus shows us that patience. We need to wait for things, and wait for it to come in God's time, and not our time. And one of the last traits we have to have is to be loving. We need to love one another. We have to be careful to not simply gloss over, I love you. It's so easy to say. It's not always as hard to show. Jesus said we are to love him with all of our heart and all of our soul. And this is the same love we're to give to every single person. It's central to being a follower of Jesus. Without love, everything we say is useless. We're just talking. Without love, everything is wasted. We judge quickly. We should judge slowly and love quickly. We need to accept everyone for the creations that God created. He created each of you and me in his image. And not only that, he created us to do what we're doing. And by accepting and loving others, we bring glory to God. So how does that fit into this transition time, in this apocalyptic reading? We are in our own apocalypse right now. We are looking forward. We don't know what is to come. But what I do know is after listening to the sermon last week and pulling things forward, we have the opportunity to show patience with each other that maybe we haven't taken the time to do before. We have the opportunity to love each other, which perhaps we did for those we're comfortable with, but we need to do for everyone. And we have the opportunity to pray. As you come to the altar rail this morning for communion, take that time. Look ahead. We don't know what the next steps are, but we know that with God, we are traveling this journey of Advent together, and that there is hope. By modeling the traits of Jesus and incorporating his habits into our own lives, we glorify him and share his light with others. Humility, patience, and love will go a long way in transforming each of our lives and transforming our church. Speak those words to yourself as you go throughout the day. And remember that God is guiding this journey. And as you pursue Jesus and the life he lived, we're going to find that humility, patience, and love become wonderful habits. In this way, it says in Ephesians, you will glorify God and prove yourselves worthy of the calling you have received. Let us take a moment and reflect on the words from this morning.